mano a mano, caminando, hombro a hombro, trabajando, hand to hand, walking, shoulder to shoulder, working, and by sharing the land we harvest freedom. Y la tierra compartiendo, libertades cosechando. Caminando, caminando, vamos caminando hacia el sol. Caminando, caminando.
I'm sure that Ignatius had no idea that his life, his death would bring something like this together. I'm sure also that our Jesuit brothers there at the Jesuit University in El Salvador had no inclination that their lives would touch so many lives.
And those who struggle for justice, love, and peace, they face many disappointments, many failures, and many losses. But there are two things that sustain and encourage us in this struggle. The first is the companionship in Jesus that we have with one another, that we have with advocates across the world, and that we have with all peoples who long for God's justice. And so this tent represents that companionship of women and men for others. And second and lastly, we have the risen Lord himself and the power of his hope-filled spirit within us and within the church. And no matter how powerful the opposition, no matter how dark the horizon, no matter how long and tortuous the path to justice and peace, no matter how often or how hard we fall, we must hear the Lord say to us what he said on the mountain to Peter, James, and John, who had collapsed in fear. He said, "Rise and do not be afraid. Rise and do not be afraid."
Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. Yeah, yeah, we're going to change the world.
Sit down, we got work to do. I want to say the real heroes here today are the young people in EHOS, the people who have suffered, the people who have lost mothers and fathers and are now carrying on. These are our real heroes that we live here today. We have work to do because it's a long way for faith that does justice. And just briefly, it took me a long time to wake up that the gospel of Jesus was about being on the side of poor and marginated people and getting in there and fighting for justice. You already know that, and you're here and you're acting. But you got to take that. You're going to learn today. These 2 days, it's not just going to be what your head learns, it's what your heart learns. Look, these people risked their lives. Look, these people crossed the line. Look, these people went to jail. And we can watch that tomorrow as people step across a line from comfort and privilege and things that we've known, and they're going to be in prison. All this money from our budget, $401 billion this year for the military budget. And we have to change that. And there's only one thing that always has changed things. And it's people, ordinary people, just people like us. Best definition of justice I know is it's just us. It's just us. We can have 2 million people in justice.
So let me give a quick review of what our government has done since September 11th. Let's look first at the invasion of Afghanistan. Have we found Osama bin Laden? No. We scattered the Al-Qaeda making it harder for us to find the alleged suspects of September 11th. Did we liberate the women and girls of Afghanistan? No. Because there is so much insecurity in that country, the U.S. refused to sanction a UN peacekeeping force that would have brought some safety to those women and girls. And what about the innocent people that were killed by our bombs? More people died in the invasion of Afghanistan than were killed on September 11th. The U.S. did no accounting. The U.S. provided no kind of support to the families, no help to the people whose homes were destroyed, nothing to those innocent victims. And while we didn't see it on our TV screens, the rest of the world saw it. What about building up Afghanistan so it wouldn't be a breeding ground for terrorism? What about the Marshall Plan that George Bush talked about? Does anybody know what the original budget for Afghanistan was in the 2003 U.S. budget? $0. That is the Marshall Plan of George Bush. We did not liberate the people of Afghanistan. We showed a callous disregard for their lives.
They asked me to speak to you all tonight about the Zapatista movement and the situation in Chiapas, Mexico. Because of this process known as globalization, we are living at perhaps the most pivotal era in human history. We are living in a world filled with paradoxes and inconsistencies. At a time when we have the capability to end world hunger, thousands of kids die of hunger every night. Though we are living during the pinnacle of medical and scientific achievement, hundreds of infants die every week from preventable diseases. As the GDP of countries grow, the standard of living of civil society dwindles. The Zapatista movement has been described as the first postmodern revolution because it embodies all the paradoxes and inconsistencies of our times. The Zapatistas are an army which want nothing more than to be able to put their arms down and never have to use them again. They believe in local autonomy, but stress global unity. Because they have been ignored for over 500 years, they chose to symbolically erase their face by wearing masks or handkerchiefs. A Zapatista is anyone who lives by the principle that an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. A Zapatista is a Jesuit student at Fort Benning, Georgia, willing to demonstrate on the steps of the doors of the School of the Americas. Thus, the Zapatistas are me. The Zapatistas are you. Thank you.